All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is our second to last episode of the semester, episode 15 of From Sparks to Skyscrapers. And I'm joined by a fellow student here at Ursinus today, Julia Dees. Julia, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself, your class year, and then also just tell me about your business and what it is that you actually do?
Yeah, sure thing. I'm a sophomore at Ursinus. I'm a neuroscience major and like a science in the common good minor. I'm from New Mexico, so this is a big move for me, and I'm like kind of on the path to becoming a midwife, but it's a convoluted path. And I've had like an interest in birth work for a long time. My business is all around doula work, so I'm a trained doula with Doula International, which means that I can help provide like educational, emotional, physical support to birthing parents and their support people. And that's generally leading up to pregnancy, but like the big focus is obviously on birth and labor. I want to provide doula services to people who won't be able to afford them generally. But currently, I work with mostly families that have doula services within their budgets as I'm starting out. But the dream is to eventually provide that for like a whole range of clientele, regardless of like how much they can support themselves financially with like looking for doula services.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really admirable. And I've gotten to know you a little bit over the semester. Then we'll get into it a little bit about the Bare Innovation stuff. But, what made you want to be a doula in the first place? Because when I, talk to you and whenever I have interaction with you, it really just seems like it's what you want to be doing, and the money isn't really a factor necessarily. And you just kind of mentioned that. So just tell me about like what made you want to become a doula. What makes you passionate about this?
Yeah, I mean, I've had an interest in like reproductive justice and reproductive rights for, I don't know, about as long as I can remember. I think it just comes with the territory of being raised as a feminist.
Yep.
And that often like was more focused on like access to healthcare, like abortion and other like now like politically controversial types of healthcare. But I got an introduction to birth work when I started researching for a speech for high school speech and debate, actually. And I got an introduction to the number of unnecessary C-sections that are performed in the United States. And it's just really astounding.
Yes, yeah.
And like with that comes like biases and like especially racial biases and like just the general poor birth care that is provided in the U.S., considering like how much money we pour into healthcare. And so working as a doula can often be a way to help like ameliorate that kind of problem in our country. They obviously doulas are not like medical professionals, but they can help to kind of patch holes in the system as best they can and make sure that like patients are able to advocate for themselves and like able to have someone like always on their team helping them during like what's essentially one of the most like emotionally and physically difficult things that humans do on a regular basis.
Yeah. And I mean, it's especially beneficial for those patients, or those soon-to-be mothers if the doula that they have is like you, very passionate about it. So how far, Safe Haven Doula Support, right? That's the name of it.
Yes.
LLC officially. You filed for the LLC. So how far have you taken the business? What is your current stage? I know you had mentioned that you had actually taken on a client or two. So I'm just kind of telling me about where you're at with the business right now.
Yeah, I have. I filed for an LLC, I guess, at the end of last year, I think. So Safe Haven has been established for a while now. I've worked with one client, done a lot of like client meetings. Generally, what doula care looks like is you meet with clients, they see if they're interested, and then you move into prenatal support. you attend the birth, and then you do a postpartum visit. Unfortunately, with the client that I did work with, they had a scheduled C-section for medical reasons. And with everything that was going on, it just seemed like they preferred me and my partner, who I currently work with, to like support on the phone and be there to debrief postpartum rather than attend the C-section. Oftentimes, hospitals won't allow doulas in the OR because it can be a contamination concern. That sometimes there's not a lot of room, various reasons. And so I just wasn't able to do a whole lot with that situation. But we're moving forward. So this summer, I will volunteer with a birth companionship program in my home state. And that hopefully will get me certifying births. So I need 3 certifying births and then a whole other range of like things that I have to do in order to become a fully certified doula. That's my next goal. And I'm also, I think today, going to sign up for a postpartum doula training and then begin working my way through that certification process. And then I'll be able to provide both birth and postpartum care. So currently I work with like kind of partner organizations that help to like advertise and help to find clients that are interested in like, I guess like my vibe. I work with a partner so that the time constraint isn't as intense. And so all of those are things that like are super valuable to starting out. But eventually I will hope to move beyond so that I have the financial freedom to serve like any range of clientele that are interested in my services.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I mean, I could sit here and listen to you talk about this all day. I love hearing young entrepreneurs, and like you're like, compared to what I was doing my sophomore year, like you're just like kicking ass. So it's freaking awesome. But do you so you were talking a little bit about the future. What's your like? Do you have like a 5-year plan, or are you more just kind of taking it as it goes? I mean, I know you're still a college student, as you mentioned, splitting that time with the partner. It's tough. It's tough with the course load too. So just talk about like your plan post graduation, what you're looking to do with it.
I mean, Safe Haven has already kind of exceeded all expectations I had. So I have to kind of rewrite like what I think I can achieve every time I achieve the thing.
Yeah.
Currently,
it's a good problem to have.
Dream. Yeah. The dream is to continue working as a doula throughout my educational experience. After sinus, I hope to do an accelerated BSN program to get a bachelor's in nursing and then apply to midwifery programs. So that could be either a master's or PhD. And so continuing with birth work throughout that entire process will be, you know, valuable to my skills as a provider and also like allow me to do something that I love. So I hope to continue throughout that entire process, which will probably be like the next 6 years of my life.
Yeah.
And then I think the goal in the next year is to become fully certified as a birth doula, and like if it moves along quickly enough, fully certified as a postpartum doula. After that, I think this following summer, I would be potentially comfortable with like striking out on my own and helping to find clients who are interested in me as a doula, especially if those clients like maybe can't afford other doulas in the area. And they're not going to be using UNM, which has, like I mentioned, the volunteer program, which is already providing doula support. So you don't want to like try and, I guess, like do something that someone else is already doing because they've already established that program. So why would I try and do it worse when like they're already in that area? So like I said, I think during like Bear Innovation, I'm not particularly comfortable with trying to provide services for like various communities without being certified.
Right.
Because it feels like it could be, you know, like a little bit taking advantage of like any communities that wouldn't typically be like in search of doulas. So I think once I'm certified, then I will strongly consider like taking on individual clients with either a partner who's also individual or a backup doula.
Yeah, that's, I mean, clearly well thought out. You mentioned Bear Innovation. How was that? I know, was that like, how was that for you? Was it out of your comfort zone? Did you enjoy that experience? You won. For those of you who don't know, Bear Innovation is congratulations. But Bear Innovation is a pitch competition that the You Imagine Center runs. And Julia came in this year, worked really hard, pitched Safe Haven Doula support, and won the grand prize, $3,500, which is, again, congratulations. That's awesome. How was the experience for you? Is it something you'd want to do again? I'm not going to be offended. I'm graduating. So talk crap if you want to about it, but just tell me about the experience.
It was a really good experience. It was definitely outside of my comfort zone in some areas. Like you've said, I'm not really in it for the money. I have like the immense privilege of being able to be like mostly fully supported at college. Yeah. I don't have to worry about making like my main stream of income at this point in my life. So, like if I can provide services to people at like little or no cost without actually taking, like, I guess, costs upon myself, then I absolutely will. So, presenting to a group of people that definitely put some emphasis on like making money, and like the finances was definitely new for me. I think it was also out of my comfort zone because asking for people's money felt really uncomfortable.
Right.
So that was a new experience for me. I think it was probably one of the best things I could have done aside from like now I have finances to support further training. Yeah. It also forced me to organize like pieces of my, I guess my company that I had previously neglected. Like the financial side of things. I discovered a lot of resources online that I think I never otherwise would have found, or it would have taken like months or years for me to ever like even think to look it up. Right. So that was also like a big net gain that I got from like the whole process. As far as public speaking, though, I'm comfortable public speaking. I was really pleased with like the fact that I could do a presentation, and like I always joke with people that I love presenting because people are forced to listen to me talk. Yeah. They have to be interested in my like my hyperfixation. Yeah. And doula care is definitely something that I'm very passionate about. So it was exciting to have a group of people in the room who were like interested to learn about that.
Yeah, and you did a great job. I mean, you ended up winning the grand prize. They had you in consideration for the best oral presentation, so it was just a matter of how much money you're winning. So that's awesome. So I just want to ask you about. So I have a couple more for you. I guess I'll go in this direction first, and then we can finish with some advice for other college students. But what have you faced? Like you mentioned, that C-section that your one client had to go through. Like, what's the biggest hardship that you have faced in this process of running this business that you've had to overcome, and how have you overcome it?
I think there's a couple different challenges. Doula work is innately very unpredictable, I guess. And so that's a challenge in and of itself for someone as like organized and like someone who likes to be in control as much as I do. It's definitely been a challenge to learn how to be like, all right, it's just time to sit back and see what happens.
Yep.
And to know that like I am not a medical professional. I cannot like, and even medical professionals often cannot ensure the birth experience that my clients want to have. Right. And so that's, I think, very challenging to grapple with. Because, like, I know these people, they are fantastic parents already. Like, they are a beautiful family who deserve everything in the world. And so to get to know people and then to, like, risk, like, the reality of them not getting the exact experience they want is rough. Obviously, that's, like, way bigger of a challenge for them than it ever will be for me. Because that's their experience.
Well, that's what the work that you do is like. It's client facing. Like I feel like a lot of the challenges that you do face, unfortunately, are going to be with clientele. So
yeah, and so it's definitely hard to I don't know, not have as big wins as you want to have. Because like I really do think that I made a positive difference. It just wasn't exactly the positive difference that everyone wanted.
Yeah.
I think it's also challenging because I'm incredibly young and generally inexperienced.
Yes.
And so it's hard to have confidence myself, but it's also like odd because oftentimes I'm meeting with potential clients who could be my parents.
Right.
And so I think it's probably odd for them because typically you don't interact with situations where like you're getting advice from someone younger than you who has no parenting experience.
Yep.
So being able to overcome, I guess, like the initial impression of the fact that like I'm a college student and I look like I'm 12 and
You do not. Stop.
and all of those situations has been challenging. Like, luckily, there have been a handful of people who have been like willing to either look past or they just didn't consider the fact that I am young. And like volunteering will be a really great experience because like I am able to have contact with clients as someone who is young and as someone who's inexperienced because I have like this whole team of like professionals who are actual medical professionals that are willing to work with me and like training programs and all of those support systems to help make sure that I'm the best doula as fast as I can be.
Yeah.
So that's always also why I've really valued the support of King of Prussia doulas and my partner because like they have been absolutely fantastic in like helping to teach me all of the things that like I didn't learn just from like reading out of a book and doing doula training and like the experiences that I've had so far. So
yeah, that's a great answer. And you know, anybody having a conversation with you realizes that you have the maturity of somebody that's maybe much older. So, you know, the age thing, obviously it's tough to get past, but you're doing a great job of it. So I guess to conclude here, speaking of our age, like there's a lot of college students that are looking to start a business that they don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. They're not confident enough. Like you kind of talk about, like, what advice do you give to the college student that's just trying to get off the ground?
I think there's a couple things. One is that I think being like entrepreneurial, especially, is challenging for women. Like in my experience, like financial literacy is, even though like women primarily are the financial deciders for household,
right.
Like finances is still a boys' game. And so like I think also because a lot of like entrepreneurial discussion is very like capitalistic, and that tends to be something that attracts men over women. I think that there's a lot of like a lot of intimidation factor about like being taken advantage of or like not knowing and having to admit that you don't know. And so I get that. I deal with that all the time. And it's like hard to get past, but I guess having the confidence to take a risk on yourself is really worth it. I think college students, generally speaking, are in a very unique situation because being in college means you have a lot of fail safes that most of the population won't have.
Yeah.
Like obviously the You Imagine Center is a fantastic resource, and while I probably could have done a lot of the work that I did without them, it would have taken a lot longer and I would have been a lot less sure.
Yeah.
And so taking advantage of resources that you have, like unashamedly, is absolutely like one of my top suggestions.
It's great.
In college, you have the freedom to fail without ruining your life a lot of the time, and that is a privilege. And so like taking advantage of that while you can is really big, because like almost nowhere else in life will you have programs built in to like help I guess help you flourish in life like you do in college.
Yeah.
Because like this college in particular really wants to like grow their student body of entrepreneurs and to help like dreams and goals to be realized, and that's not necessarily an attitude that like society in general has been able to cultivate.
Yeah.
I think also taking advantage of resources online. I did not know that there were like hundreds of articles written out there from other doulas that are like, this is financially how I run my business. Like, this is how I make the sliding scale work. This is how I pay my backup doula. And I think part of that is because the doula community is like absolutely one of the most beautiful communities of people who just want like everyone to be happy and like are so willing to share resources and ideas. But generally speaking, we live in the age of information. And so just being willing to do a little bit of research can, I guess, show you that there are way more resources, often free resources, than you have ever realized.
Yeah. I mean, so much good stuff there. Like podcasts, even like we're on our own right now. Like just searching for the subject matter that you're looking to get into and finding information. That is really, really key. That's a great answer. Thank you so much for coming on. That's all I have for now. Do you have anything else that you want to plug? Any website that you want to plug or anything like that?
I don't think I have. I guess trying to think of I don't know, there are like a couple podcasts that I like, but I can't remember the names off the top of my head. It's like when someone asks you what your favorite music is and you're like, I've never listened to music before in my life.
If you send me links to stuff, I'll put it in the description, so just let me know.
There's lots of good resources out there if anyone is like interested in birth work, but other than that, I don't have a lot of entrepreneurial specific.
Do you have a website though for Safe Haven?
I don't. One of my goals this summer is to start an Instagram to spread like educational information, and then I'll turn it into marketing when I need to market. Right. But I'm not sure that I will invest in a website for some time, because like it's not necessarily the most important tool for doulas, because most of them use social media as their like main point of contact, and then everything else is done via like in-person meetings. So
makes sense. Fair enough. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one more episode coming out after this. It will be with Maureen Cumstone, the entrepreneur in residence at Ursinus, culminating my career. It's been a pleasure to be with you guys over these 4 years. Like I said, one more episode coming up, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on From Spars to Skyscrapers. Thank you.